Welcome back to another episode of Hammering Down. I'm your host, Kaylor Hodges, and I am being joined by one of the new podcasts on the USL scene, but I don't think I've missed an episode yet, and it is just absolutely fantastic. The Outsiders Green County Soccer Podcast. Let me tell you, I mean, it is top tier stuff. I know there were other podcasts in the Tulsa area, but I mean, give this one a shot, even if you're not a Tulsa fan, which I mean, I'm not, but I still listen to it. It's great stuff. Ran by some great people. Some which both of them are here, Mariano and David. I mean, Mariano I've been talking to for a while now, who is at Boston Mario, and then David, who is, I'm going to get the numbers wrong and get them out of order. It's the 918 Brigade, correct?
Correct.
Yep. So I've been just on Twitter. I mean, they are just great guys. And yeah, these are Tulsa folks. So how are you guys doing? David, how are you doing?
Oh, good. How are you?
Doing very, very well. Mariano, we have
Yes, yeah.
talked so many times. So this is the first time we've actually been on voice to voice. How you doing, my man?
Doing good, man. Finally, we actually get to communicate, by voice instead of me typing something down while I'm listening to your Twitch or something like that.
I mean, look, I just hyped you up guys up a lot, but I've listened to every episode so far, and it is absolute top tier stuff. So people really do need to listen to it. I know there's a lot of people who listen to me now because of the USL show. If you're looking for a new USL show or a new club or a new podcast to follow, The Outsiders is an absolute top tier one. But I'm not just here to hype you guys up and talk about, all the great stuff you're doing. Let's talk about your team a little bit. FC Tulsa. Beforehand, we were talking just a little bit about last week's match, and boy, was it something. I want to talk about with you guys the biggest, I think, headline coming into this, and it's DaCosta's red card being rescinded. Whichever one. I'm going to start with Mariano. What does DaCosta mean for this team, and how massive is it that he is not suspended for this upcoming match against Birmingham?
Oh man, first he's been playing for our team for 4 years. He is basically like a role model. He's basically like a captain to the team. I think last year he was the assistant captain, but he is the leader in that midfield. He could be dangerous on set pieces. He can be dangerous, passing. Having him back there, having that presence and the kind of role that he's in, kind of when he's doing a good game, when he's having a good game, we're doing a good game. We're going to be either winning or tying and whatnot. But having him back on there, and now that he's back after him getting that red card, he's going to be wanting to prove some points and take out a little bit of anger on a poor team. And I'm sorry, it's your team, but I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, I mean, he is a force, and people who've been following me, they know that I have a soft spot for Tulsa. I mean, there have been the people at Tulsa have been absolutely fantastic, and we can talk about this a little bit later. But I mean, just the people who are in the front office and the fans there. I've only had great experience with the Tulsa people, but David, there's a lot of great attacking power with Tulsa. I think there are a lot of names that people in the USL don't really know about, but they should know about. And DaCosta is one of them. Is just an absolutely fantastic player. But the one that I think everybody should know, at least personally, is Super Dario Suarez. Can you speak a little bit about his attacking prowess and like what he means for that FC Tulsa club, especially like linking up with a guy like DaCosta?
I think if you want to know anything about Dario Suarez, I think you need to go back and watch our game against Tampa Bay in the playoffs last year. Yeah, we were down, we got beat, but he made an absolute worldie. His goal against Tampa Bay, and that's what Dario is. Dario is very creative. He's very energetic. I mean, he plays a lot of defense too. He's very, very attacking, and he's a very good defender. So, I mean, watch that goal, and I think that just gives you a little taste of what Dario is. But he's a great passer. He came to us, I think, 2 years ago, and he just moved up our all-time leading scoring charts very quickly. So, you know, he I know he's one of Mariano's favorite players.
Yes, he is.
I mean, it's hard not to like him. I mean, I I think I don't know if either one of you guys made the drive out to Birmingham last year when the match kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, delayed and delayed. But Dario, I was really glad that the match got delayed, to be honest, because he was starting to heat up right when that match got postponed for a few hours. He was starting to get hot. And there are not many players in the USL like Dario Suarez that once he gets hot, you're just in trouble. It doesn't matter how good your keeper is, doesn't matter how good your back line is. Dario Suarez, when he turns it on, I mean, come on, that the Cuban international is just an absolute freak of nature. You just can't stop him.
Yeah, and he's very fearless as well. Go back and watch that Sporting Kansas City 2 game we played last year there. I think Marion, he got what, 4 teeth knocked out in that?
Yes, he
Something like
did.
that.
So it was, somehow he got a foul called on him on that. I don't know how, but he's just fearless over that middle, and he does what it takes to win.
So for people who are watching or listening to this podcast who maybe don't follow the USL as closely as I do, right? A lot of us, we go to FOTMob or we go to some other kind of system to check other matches. And if you look at this FC Tulsa match from last week, you think, oh, wow, FC Tulsa played like crap. They were absolutely horrible. Look at their average ratings. Look at all these people with 5 point somethings or low 6 point somethings. I mean, Rivas and somebody else were the only ones that had anything above a 7. You're like, wow, they played horrible. How much of that do you attribute those scores? Like I watched the match. I think it was a little unfair, but Da Costa getting that red card and also the Battery being a pretty good team.
Well, yeah, Battery, I'll give them the props. They're a good team. They have one of our former players in Matt Sheldon, so you might have a little insight on this. I don't know, but
he had a heck of a game too.
Yes, yes. Don't get me started on that one, but
On the ground,
but that wind was playing absolute craziness with the ball, and sometimes I think we like to play the ball over the top a little bit. And we got some very speedy individuals in Dario Suarez and Brian Brown up front, and that wind was just holding the ball up. I mean, it felt like Sean Lewis couldn't kick it past midfield. So I think that had a lot to do with that. I think that messed up a lot of our passing. It just felt like the ball was bouncing around. So, I think both teams' passing percentage was way down. I think ours was actually a little bit better than theirs, but the wind played a lot of havoc with the team.
After on Sunday when they got back in town, me and a couple other people, we actually met up with the team, and I did get to speak to Sean Lewis, the goalie, and he was saying he was just trying to drill it as hard as possible because that wind was just pushing the ball right back to his side of the field, and it was just really bad. So if it was really bad for him, can you just imagine the other team? And like David was saying, our team is really, really more like, lob the ball passing, trying to catch teams on a counterattack. But yeah, it was a good match. They had the better side, When you play 12 people against 11, the referee's going against you. It's kind of hard, but yeah, that's my little hot take for the day. But we got that call reversed, so we're ready for Saturday.
I will say, just when it comes to the USL, this year pro refs have come out swinging. There have been, as the time of recording this, the Atlanta United 2 versus Red Bulls match just ended. And there were 2 red cards in that match, bringing the grand total of 6 red cards in 14 matches. Technically, the USL is going to claim that there were only 5 because the rescinded red card for Da Costa. But man, you kind of have to be careful with what's going on. I mean, I'm taking pretty much every single card stat with a grain of salt because I think there were 8 combined yellow cards in the Rowdies versus Legion match, and there were not many of those that were anywhere close to being yellow cards. I know you guys got a super short end of that stick, but I mean, have you guys been noticing this just random card uptick from previous years when it seemed like you go chest, studs to chest and get away with it?
I think David has some stats on that one single referee that we have. David, go ahead. We were just talking about it in a podcast of ours. David, you want to give him the stats from that one singular referee?
Yeah, just that one referee last year, he refereed as a main official 19 matches in USL Championship and League One, and there was a 31% chance of a red card coming out in those matches. So
Oh,
yeah, he had 4 straight reds and 2 double yellows into reds in those 19 games. So
All in
yeah,
total,
yep.
all in total, he gave out 88 yellow cards in a 19 game span.
was this Guido?
No, that was Joshua and Consent. I might be butchering his last name, but yeah, this guy he was horrible. And the game that we played with Battery, it was 10 yellow cards and a double yellow to the red.
Yep, and 33 fouls called in that match.
See, for the people who didn't understand the Guido reference, if you go back and watch the FC Cincinnati versus maybe Richmond in 2017, there was a match where Guido Gonzalez just absolutely took control of that match, and it's some fantastic stuff. The highlight of the entire thing is he called a handball in the box, which led to a penalty. The issue is that the handball that he called, the ball hit the player square in the nipple, absolutely nowhere close to his hand. Called a handball anyway, gave up a pen, ended up being a draw to both teams. The level of reffing in the USL, sometimes it's legendary as long as it doesn't end up in a loss, right?
Right. Well, it's just like the goal that Charleston scored. There was a clear handball by one of our players. It was a defensive miscue, and there was a clear handball. It hit his hand. Our defensive player pretty much stopped, and they gained the advantage and went on to score. So, and that was at midfield. It wasn't in the box anywhere. It was midfield. So, they hold the whistle sometimes, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah. There's a lot of players for this FC Tulsa team that are not around this year. The ones that Legion fans became so aware of very soon on. And Mariano really opened my eyes to him before the season started. And then John from USL Tactics was really a big affirmed me in what Mariano had told me. But Marlon, I mean, oh my God, what a freak of a player. Can really play anywhere in those wings in that attacking area as a striker. He can do whatever you want, really. Obviously, you just talked about him, Matt Sheldon. But the one player I think is more important than any of those two that you guys are missing right now is Bourgeois.
Yes.
When is he supposed to be back? And how big of a missing piece is that? Because he was arguably the team MVP last year.
Yes, he was. He's we don't know when he's coming back. We try to get it out of the coach when we had him on the interview. When he was on the interview today with our local sports station, he didn't want to say when he's coming back, but you're right. He's just like Rodrigo da Costa. He's a main figure back there in the defensive line. He's been with the team the longest as well. Without him, his experience, he played with us. He also went and tried to forget the name of the Southeast team that went to the MLS.
Nashville.
In Nashville, yes. He played with Nashville while they were in the USL. He was drafted in the MLS with the Houston Dynamo. But we're definitely going to be missing him in the back. We do got a couple good new defensive center backs. Plus, also we have Fenwick back there. But it's going to be a big miss right there for our team.
I forget which match it was. It might have been Indy 11 last year, the match that you guys drew at Indy, I think, or maybe that was the one you won 2-0. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there was a free kick or a corner that you guys had, And I remember he was in the box, and Bourgeois, he's not a small guy, but I think he's like 5'10, 5'11. And he out jumped every single person on that pitch, including multiple people for that India 11 squad who were like 6'3", 6'4". And he was just way above them. And he's y'all's typical right back. And he just has this vertical ability that is terrifying on corners, that he can win any header in the box. Defensively, he's sound, and he's pretty prone to get on the attack as well. Just, the guy's taking his place is Rodriguez, who this isn't the first time I think you guys have. Well, this is the first time you guys have seen him. He was in El Salvador these last few years, but how did he fill that Bourgeois role for you guys?
I think he did fine. I think he was meant to be brought in to piece next to Dispe as a center back, but he did fine. You just can't replace a guy like Bradley. His leadership, and I think the armband was passed off to DaCosta. So we lost our captain, and then we lost our co-captain right there in the same. In that game. So, but he did fine. I'm pretty confident in his abilities. We're down actually both of our wing backs with Jorge Corrales too. So, we got a couple injuries in the defensive end, but our backups, Gabrielle Taurus and Rodriguez moving over, and Fenwick coming into center back, they're more than capable of handling the situation.
Corrales, he was he's also the El Salvador international, correct?
No, he's from Cuba.
Oh, he's the
He also
Cuban.
played. Yeah, he also played in the national team as well.
Okay.
I think he played some games last year. He came from what was it? When he left Tulsa, he went to Chicago Fire, and then after that, I think he was coached in Montreal with Montreal Impact. I want to say, I might be wrong. Vancouver, yes, Vancouver, correct. And yeah.
So another piece on this back line that's been around for about a year now for you guys, and you mentioned him earlier, was Johnny Fenwick, who he got a little bit of playing time last year, or maybe it might have even been just one match. Or no, sorry, that was playoffs. He had a few matches last year. Good player. He was an academy guy at Sheffield Wednesday, I believe, and then went on to play at Las Vegas Lights, which that was the one year that they were not embarrassing. But Fenwick, other than Rivas for the last match, he was the one guy that you could point at and be like, thank God they had him on the pitch, or else it could have been ugly.
Yeah.
Fenwick was really holding it back there. And that's nothing against Sean Lewis. I firmly stand by Sean Lewis as one of the best keepers in the USL. He has a couple weird plays from time to time, but Fenwick kept them from making that an ugly scoreline.
Are you talking about Austin Wormel?
Or
the goalie?
No, Lewis started.
Yeah, I was about to say, didn't Sean Lewis start last week?
Yeah, he started.
Yeah, Sean Lewis started last week. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. Sorry about that.
Now, don't get me wrong, Romel was also a solid keeper for you guys last year. You guys truly have two number ones back there. Romel I really liked watching him play.
Yep. I fully agree. Would you believe an intern that was interning for FC Tulsa, then tried out for the team, and now he's like our / number 1 / 2 backup goalie? That's just it has to be a Tulsa thing.
Man. You guys, I think what people forget, and even I forgot a little bit, Tulsa has a good squad this year. And we're going to get to the Legion elephant in the room later, but I was admittedly low on you guys. Last year, I thought you guys were a surefire playoffs squad. I think that obviously that ended up happening. I had you guys finishing 4th in the division last year, and that's what ended up happening. This year, I have you guys a lot lower. And while I am very, very high on JJ Williams, it feels like this squad never took that next step forward that we all wanted them to. And with all these injuries and people like Matt Sheldon leaving, um, what do you guys feel? I mean, it's still very early in the season. Do you think this is a playoff team, or is it like, why didn't we get better?
So if I can put in my 2 cents real quick, last year I think we could have done a lot better. A lot of people don't realize or remember that we had a lot of international players. Rivas was
Yes.
playing for El Salvador, Corrales, and also Corrales. I think I'm not sure if Dario went. I don't think Dario went, but I know Corrales and Rivas went. And then we had our little injury prone right there in the middle. And it kind of, once you're playing, just like our first game that we had in the season, you're still building up that chemistry. And when somebody leaves and, they're doing great with their national teams, but we're kind of struggling with that offense, or defensive player kind of throws off the system for us. For me, I feel like this year we have high potential to make the playoffs again. Thank you, Oklahoma City, for leaving. but but no, seriously, I think we can make the playoffs again if we have a lot of fire, like a lot of attacking players in our team. If we can get the chemistry down, I think we can make a run in the playoffs. I wish we can. I can 100% say we can win it all, but we have to play the games. Um, but that's what I think. I'm sorry for giving you like a blanket, like a fence writing statement there, but that's how I feel about it. How about you, David?
Yeah, I think last year, we had Jorge Corrales leaving in the middle of the season, and Joaquin Rivas left for multiple stints to go play with the international squad because El Salvador was in the World Cup qualifying. On top of that, we had Sean Lewis getting hurt in the middle of the season. This is the guy that played all 15 games in the 2020 season for us and solidified as a number one goalkeeper for us. So we lose those two, a big defensive player, and we lose a big offensive player. Then we lose our, basically our defensive shot caller in the back and Sean Lewis. And we bring in Austin Wormel, who I don't know if he had played since college. He went to Rogers State here in Oklahoma, and I think he might have played for an MPSL team for a little bit. But we had a brand new keeper coming in, pretty green keeper, and he learned a lot in the season, and he looked pretty good at times for us. So I mean, we had a little lull in the middle of the season, and then we fought at the end to regain form, and we just came up a little short in what we wanted to do.
You know, I mean, I will just put myself on blast. I did my full predictions earlier this year. I guess shameless plug, but I mean, it's my own podcast. I guess I can plug whatever I want. But I ended up predicting Tulsa to finish with 39 points and this year and finishing in 10th. And definitely this is a division in a conference that I could see Tulsa fighting for that top 7 spot. Tulsa was in that weird range of if they got hot, they could be a playoff team. But if they got off to a bad start or an unfortunate start, that it could be really bad for the squad in black and gold. And it's just a weird position for Tulsa to be in because I think they're clearly better than Hartford. And whether they're better than, I think they have a better squad than Indy, but I think Mike Lowry, I mean, everybody knows about Mike Lowry. He is just a phenomenal coach. Nothing against y'all's coach whatsoever. I really like him. Everything I've heard him say and everything he's done tactically, I've been a fan of, but Mike Lowry is just one of those guys. I think he was going to will Indy to be in a really great team, but I don't know. There's just something about this squad. I feel like there's something missing. And it's not a striker. It's not a scorer. You guys have 4 real scorer options. It's not a super sub. You guys have like 2 of them. I mean, I really like Eric Bird, and the little bit that I got to see, I really liked Winters last year. Those are two guys that could be really good super subs or even starters. I just feel like you guys have it with Bourgeois out. I guess it's you're missing that guy on defense. I mean, Fenwick's great, but you need a center back pairing and not just a center back. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think the team tried to address that with Adrian Dispay coming in. I mean, if you look at our back line last year and the last few years, we've been kind of, as you said, Bradley's about 5'10", Dispay 6'3", 6'4", who can, be that taller presence for corners or, you know, set pieces, so he can get in there and disrupt those. And then, like I said, Ronald Rodriguez, I think he was brought in to be his pairing as a center back, El Salvadoran international, and that was going to put Corrales on the left wing and Bradley on the right wing. So I think once we get our injury bug, rectified, I think our back line is going to be good. And Gabrielle Taurus is a guy that I thought has been. I know me and Mariano, we just raved at him in our preseason games when we got to see him. He just was. He was Matt Sheldon-esque. He was just up and down the pitch. He was just speedy, and I think that showed a little bit in the Charleston game. He just seemed to be everywhere in that game. So I think he's going to be that type of player. Personally, I feel like our midfield might be a little bit of our weakness. So I would love to see us, pick up someone mid-season to strengthen that. That's where I see as our big flaw.
I have to second that. I think what we're missing is a playmaker. We were kind of blessed a little bit by having that other midfielder that left the year before. I forget his name, Ariel
Martinez.
Yes. He was the center man. He literally kind of instructed everybody to go. His passes were amazing. His 1-2 play with Dario was great. Also with Joaquin. I'm not Joaquin. I forget our other forward that we had at the time. But it was just, I feel like we're missing that playmaker. I wish Lebo was more of a little bit more forward than kind of more like a center defensive back or a midfielder, a CDM. And but I have a feeling, we'll work out those kinks. Either we'll get another player or we'll have somebody, we have a couple good youth academy players that are on the lineup as well, that they have potential to play. So we're hoping for some changes in the future.
I was watching the match and it seemed like Brian Brown was given the start up top this last match. And at least that's just kind of the way he played for a lot of the match. Granted, the red card kind of screwed up a lot of formation stuff, so it's kind of hard to take a whole lot of account into that. But something that I would do if I was FC Tulsa, and maybe you guys could do this next week, so you're not doing against Legion, that'd be great. Would be putting Rivas in the center of the park, putting Brown on the right wing, and letting DaCosta go up top, because we've seen Brian Brown get a little bit of time on the right wing. He looked really good, but I think the creativity of Rivas in the middle of the park would be what Tulsa is missing, at least the little bit that we saw him, or I guess he has a good bit of time in the center of the field. But I feel like putting him as a winger or as a right midfielder like we saw last match, that didn't feel like the right move to me, rather than just putting Brown there, let him service DaCosta and try to score goals that way.
I fully agree. Actually, we made a comment about this previous, so not on a podcast, but Rivas, he's an attacker for me. His speed plus his dribbling is amazing. Having him go against a defender is what we needed. That's what they play him in El Salvador. That's what we should be playing him as well. That's one of his great traits that I love about him. That he attacks and he runs up and down the field. He never gives up. Plays defense as well. Good as well. And I wish he was more in the last game, more attacking onto players instead of just playing that kind of just up there waiting for the ball to be passed. But what about you, David? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I had Joaquin as probably our man of the match. The last match, he was just he to me he was our best overall player. But yeah, the thing with Rodrigo and Brian and Joaquin and Dario and soon to be JJ Williams, they all can play up front. So I think you're going to see a lot of interchanging. Just to we'll shift them around as the game goes along as we get the field going on. So I think that we got multiple attacking outlets. So I think last week was just week one, get the jitters out and let's go for week two.
The one thing that you get with JJ Williams that you don't get with other players, and you guys don't have small center forwards or wingers by any stretch, but it's not very often that you get a 6'4" linebacker from the University of Kentucky to play your wing or your center forward. JJ Williams, by what a lot of people would call underperformed in Birmingham, I think that if you look at purely goal scoring and assist, if you look at those two numbers and say that that's the worth of a player, you could say they underperformed. But if you watch those matches, the way he pulled strings and the way he pulled people out and the way that people feared him on set pieces because, well, nobody else is 6'4" and can jump as high as a mountain. JJ is a great player that I would be interested seeing him maybe taking or kind of going in that same thought process of moving people around, maybe letting DaCosta go up top, Rivas going in the center, and letting JJ Williams play that right wing because he has a good passing ability. His dribbling ability is good enough. It's not amazing, but it's good enough. And that size alone is going to draw in defenders. I think that would be a really interesting way of utilizing JJ.
Yeah, when we signed him, I when they announced it, I was very excited. That was like that made my off season. The times we got to see him play Tulsa, and I watched a few other games that he played. We didn't have that size presence last year. Ours on set pieces, corners, it felt like we were lacking all last year. We weren't winning any of those.
Marlon was your main set piece threat last year, and he's like 5'8".
That's the thing. Marlon was winning all our headers, and it's just like, and then we bring in Dispay and we bring in JJ with huge size. I think that's going to help us a lot in set pieces and corners. But I'm excited. I was excited by bringing in JJ, and then right before that was Brian Brown, and it's just like, wow, we got some firepower. And I think just last week, the red card, the wind, it just threw us out of whack. And I think we'll get back to business, hopefully starting Saturday.
So kind of a little bit of a change of subject, but I think it's something that's worth talking about. Mariano, you can speak more to this. And we talked about this a little bit beforehand. This FC Tulsa team, let's go past what the club is on the pitch. Let's talk about a little bit off the pitch. I mean, the Drillers, the Roughnecks, that whole era, I've tried reaching out to that old regime and I tried talking to them about media stuff, and they were so standoffish. And basically, if you weren't one of us, we don't care. And then one of your very special owners goes on to OKC Energy, and in true FC Tulsa or in Tulsa fandom, absolutely kills the team or quote unquote hiatus. This Tulsa club, when it comes to on the field, off the field, it feels like they have turned a corner and become one of the most beloved franchises in the USL and possibly even all of US soccer. As a fan, what's it like seeing a club completely turn face and essentially save itself?
Oh, I'm as a fan since the beginning when the Tulsa Roughnecks came into town. I'm super happy with this new ownership. I just wanted to clarify one thing that you said. One of when Tulsa Roughnecks started, the Tulsa Drillers were basically the kind of the ownership. We did have minority ownership from Bob Funk, and he's from Prodigal in Oklahoma City, and that's the organization that's running Oklahoma City. So we kind of had that minority ownership stake of what you might want to call stake with him through our club. But the Tulsa Drillers, when they started, I was really happy that they brought a soccer team here to town, but they were also running a baseball team. You know, it's kind of hard. I work multiple jobs, but I can't do it at the same time. You know, they did their best. I really appreciate what they did for bringing a soccer team, and I'm so glad that they did sell the team off to another ownership, a local ownership here in town, the Crafts family, and Crafts are doing amazing. You know, from community outreach to on the pitch. The relationship with their fans, with the supporters. It's so amazing all the stuff that they do for inner city. We're just the stadium is just right there in like the middle of downtown, and they do outreaches to the North Tulsa, bringing a soccer league to North Tulsa that really there was not no soccer around there, and a lot of stuff to our Greenwood district. But it's really fantastic to see what they're doing for our community.
That Greenwood, I love what you guys were doing in Greenwood. I've I've not been secret on social media that I love everything about FC Tulsa. Everything about what you guys are doing over there. I really respect. And I know what's it is Williams, is that the front of the shirt sponsor?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Williams. Yep.
I bought one of the black shirts. I think that was the state shirt before they put the logo on it, or the new front shirt sponsor. So anybody listening to this, if you happen to have one of the city shirts, the white one without a logo on it, reach out to me, please. I've thought about buying it. I didn't. Don't get me wrong. The Williams looks fantastic. It's a really good sponsor that doesn't annoy me as a viewer. But man, it was so clean when it was just the black shirt or just the white shirt. I mean, everything about the rebranding. We've seen clubs rebrand time and time again. I feel like Tulsa is one of the few teams to absolutely nail it with the state bird, the signage, lettering, everything about that new crest is just beautiful.
Yeah, I think what was his name? I know his last name's Wolf. He came in and redesigned our logo and everything. He's done a lot of other teams' logos, and yeah, he came in. He came in. I think they said he stayed like a month or so in the city and really learned the city, and with the Art Deco themes. People don't realize Tulsa's got a huge Art Deco theme. A lot of the downtown buildings that it's in that design, and he studied that with the lettering and everything in the fonts, and he really took his time, learned the Tulsa traditions, and made a great badge for us.
And he also reached out to the community as well. He just designed this willy nilly. He really reached out to the community, and he asked people's opinions. A lot of people still fond of the old Roughnecks name, but what he designed was amazing.
So we've just talked about everything. It's kind of hard to talk about this team from last week because of the red card. Although it is interesting that after the red card, you guys, I mean, statistically, it looks like you guys still had a lot of control of the match. I think this is where I have preached a million times that possession is a dumb stat and don't put anything by it, because Tulsa essentially was kind of working from the back and just passing like from side to side as opposed to forward and back. But you guys still outshot the battery. And, there's a lot of pressure there with a full 11 squad at home, a home opener. Guys like JJ Williams getting his first start against his old club. Same with Merlon, but, first time back. Do you guys think I mean, I want to ask you both. I want to start with David. What is the chances, like percentage, maybe like a 1 out of 10 of Tulsa coming away with all 3 points?
I think it's good. I think I'm gonna say a 6 out of 10, 60% chance. I think the intensity is gonna be turned up at One Oak. And if you look at our stats from last year, we were our shots were very on target. And this last week they weren't. And I think that's something that, I think the wind and the red card just threw out the window, and we were just trying to, attack and get on target, but we just didn't. So I think we're going to improve on that. And our goal rate was really good last year. So I think we're going to get back to that. I have faith that we'll get back to that.
How about you, Mariano?
I'm a very superstitious person, so I don't like to predict anything.
Fair
but
enough.
there is a stat that last week was happening. 11 of the home teams won all their matches, and I'm hoping second week is gonna come the same. There was 11 wins, 1 draw, and I think one tie.
One loss.
One loss, and was there 1 tie as well?
Yep, that was Legion, actually. Legion were the 1 draw.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that keeps coming for the second weekend. So we're the home team. But right now, if I would give it, I might give it that 5% little bump because of my biasness. But 55% that we've come out with a W on our, what I was thinking, maybe our offenses click and we leave out of there with a 3-1 victory. That would be amazing. I know, like I said, I'm a little biased, but I'm hoping, Dario scores one of those long shots, and Rodrigo da Costa has a PK, and then Marlon scores a goal for you guys, and then in the final, JJ with his header to close out the game. But if that happens, I'm going to go buy some lottery tickets soon. So I'll be posting my numbers here shortly. But yeah, that's my. I know that's more than 55%, but that's my little prediction for this week.
David, do you happen to have a scoreline prediction?
I think it's going to be about 2-1. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be one of those top games in the USL this week.
Since the Energy are on quote unquote hiatus, whatever that truly means, I think the Wilmington Hammerheads are still technically on hiatus. So take that as you will. Can this be the next iteration of the Black and Gold Derby, or
make it a Black and Red Derby?
I talked about this in the USL show yesterday. I hate how much we wear those red shirts. They're nice. I get it. But God, we wear black and gold. We're the Black and Gold. I understand that it's an homage to the Hammers before the Legion. God, just wear black and gold, please, boys.
I was hoping that we can have like a 3-way, black and gold, even though Charlotte's not really black and gold, or even a 4-way with Pittsburgh, kind of be like the black and gold diamond or something like that. Kind of put your little diamond iced tea stuff on there as well. But like a 4-way, Tulsa, Birmingham, Pittsburgh, and Charleston Battery. But it's just I don't think it'll work out. But yeah, that would be awesome. We can have a derby with you guys. But it's looking like Memphis might be our little rivals for this year.
That's for San Antonio.
Oh yeah, but we only play them once.
Yeah. I will say, and this is past because everybody knows about the Birmingham Memphis rivalry that's there. That one's just a funny one that goes, but it's really funny that in the conference, Memphis I think is the closest team to Tulsa, right? Or is that Indy now?
I think it's Memphis. We had a couple of really close teams to us with Sporting KC2 and then, Oklahoma City, but neither one of them are participating this year or in the league anymore. So I think it is Memphis.
Yep.
That would be a fun little derby for you guys. I mean, the Diamond Derby, baseball diamond, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I will say a Black and Gold Cup, that could be really fun.
That would be.
Oh, that would be a ton of fun.
Maybe we could have a wrench and a hammer derby or something, tie those into,
Ooh, like we just bring a sledgehammer, and then if we win, we get the wrench and the hammer, and whoever wins gets the wrench and the hammer. You just trade off, and eventually, the battery come in with a cannon. You end up with an arsenal at the end. What do Riverhounds? I guess they're just going to bring like a steel ingot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the dirty water.
So, there's a lot, and we've already done a little bit of predictions for you guys. If any of our fans, whether this year or next year or so on and so forth, if they want to come to Tulsa, what are the places to go? What are like the places to eat? And what part of the stadium should they be sitting in?
I'll let Mariano answer this. I'm actually, I live about an hour away from Tulsa, and he's a Tulsan, so I'll let him answer those questions.
Yeah, I'll go with the last one. Then I'll probably might have to ask you the other questions you asked, because I thought David was going to go, and then I was going to go and jump over his. But the places to go if you're an away supporter, you would probably be out there in the outfield. That's where they basically put all their away supporters at. But you're not Oklahoma City, so you guys can be next to us as much as you want. We're by section 115. We're right behind the goal. The other goal is literally on the outfield, and it wouldn't be close to the sitting area over there. Places to eat here. I am originally from Boston, Mass, so I'm a pizza lover. They have plenty of good places. They have in downtown, they have Andolini's. They sell them by the slice, New York style. There's a good couple mom and pop places around. Bars, actually, one of our members that's in the 83 United, he actually owns a bar right down the street from the field. It's called the Tulsa. That's a good place. After the game, everybody goes out over there, enjoys music, reminisce the victories or the draws or even the losses. I know David knows a couple good cigar bars. He frequents over there a lot, so you might want to ask him on that part. But yeah, Tulsa is like a little mini Austin, but a lot better than Austin. It has a nightlife, it has a great restaurants, steak foods. There's one place that I love to go, Prime Steak. It's literally like 3 blocks away from One Oakfield. If you're looking for a place to stay, there's a Mayo Hotel. That's a great place to go stay at. David, do you want to put some input?
Yeah, you can check out McNelly's. It's a little pub restaurant, really good food. Tulsa's known for its Western swing music, so the legendary Cain's Ballroom is a great place for entertainment. One of my favorite bars it's called Valkyrie. It's a mixology bar, so if you want to go have a good high-end drink, it's a good place. Like Mario said, the Tulsan's good. Elgin Park's got a good little sports pub vibe going right, and it's right there adjacent to the stadium. So any of those I would fully endorse.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on. If you want to follow these guys, follow the podcast. You can find them on Twitter, the 918 Outsiders Pod. Again, I'm not a Tulsa fan, but it's just good stuff. Just listen to them. It's great. David, you can find him at the 918 Brigade. And then Mariano, you can find him at Boston Mario 918 on Twitter. I cannot thank you guys enough for coming on and take some time out of your day to do a second podcast for the day.
Hey, yeah, we appreciate it. And if any of your supporters of Magic City Brigade or anybody that's going to be down in Tulsa, we are having the 83 United is having a tailgate at the corner of Elgin Archer from 4:30 to 7 p.m. Everybody's welcome. We just, there's going to be drinks, food, games. They usually set up cornhole and put up a few little soccer nets for everybody to play and just have a good time.
Well, I'll certainly pass that message along, and hopefully we do have a few Legion fans out there. We'll see what kind of contingency goes out.
That'll be great. We'll love away supporters. We don't ever back down. We always have fun, and we enjoy it. You know, this is what I love about soccer. Everybody, we can be from different parts of the country, you know, speak different languages, but in the end of the day, you know, it's about soccer. Those 90 minutes of, you know, having fun and enjoying yourself, getting crazy, getting drunk if you like me. But yeah, you know, it's a good time. But hopefully this year we can come down there and visit you. I know one of our good friends, Todd, that's in our supporters group, the 918 Brigade. He went out there last year and talked to you for a little bit.
Yeah, Todd was fantastic. He was a really great guy to meet. Uh, every Tulsa fan I've met and every person involved with Tulsa. I was going to mention it off camera, but I want to just mention it now. Your guy's old like social media guy, Mickey Kennedy. I've known him since he was a college student here at Alabama. I love that man so much. You guys have just brought in just quality people, and you guys just have absolute quality fans. So it's always been a pleasure talking to people from FC Tulsa.
Awesome.
We appreciate hearing that. I mean, it just speaks to what our club is bringing in. So we really appreciate that.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for coming on. And thank you to the listeners that are listening to this. We're hoping for a great match at the Legion one. And we are something like that anyway. You know, if you're a Tulsa supporter, go out to One Oak, have a great time. And if you're a Legion fan, let's hope that we have a better time than the FC Tulsa fans. Again, thank you guys. Thank you, David. Thank you, Mariano.
No problem.
One last time, check out the Outsiders pod, the night at 918 Outsiders pod on Twitter. Check them out. Give them lots of love. And thank you guys for listening. And thank you guys for joining.
No problem, man. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.